Why are humans so restless?
Most people think of renunciating when they have problems in life. They're chickens.
So is this related to karma and rebirth, or is it related to your happiness in this life?
So when someone is in love, why prevent such holy marriages?
Why are some people seemingly special or chosen? Is it because they're more evolved souls?
But depending upon your inner nature, inner quality, nature opens the path or closes the path.
Share with us a challenge that came towards you and how you overcame it.
Let your thoughts and actions also have the touch of your meditativeness. Otherwise, there is no point meditating. So it's very simple, I think. It's very simple.
Let's start with the new book. We've got, Spiritual Anatomy that I was just reading myself, and we took a beautiful walk, through the gardens, which were absolutely stunning, depicting the various chakras. I'd love to hear you describe the science behind it to, whatever extent you'd like, or share with us a little bit, the theory, the concept behind spiritual anatomy, and how really what you do here has a science behind it.
Well, for that, we have to first understand what are chakras, how they are formed. And in order to understand our yatra, going back home to the original source, how we can undo, unravel, open up these chakras and travel upward. So we have to understand chakras, how they are spoilt, and how to clean them. Okay. Briefly put, chakras are energy vortexes. Can I see them located in my physical body? No, you cannot see them. But you can see the impact of certain emotions settling on them. Then you understand that certain emotions that were triggered now are settling in some place. And you can identify that place also. For example, emotions related to irritation, hatred, broken heart. Where will these emotions settle? If you are sensitive enough, you will notice it. I will point to all these chakras as we move onward in our discussion. When we lose faith, when we lose courage, and when we become so fearful, which chakra gets affected? When you feel dizzy all of a sudden, and this dizziness has nothing to do with physical problem, but something that emotionally strikes you and you feel as if the earth is moving below your feet. Many people do feel that without any physical sickness. That is also the consequence of certain emotions settling at certain chakra and rattling that chakra. What happens to a person who is obsessive with sex? What happens to those chakras? Persons who are constantly worried about where from my money will come, where from my next meal can come, how can I pay the fees for my children, how can I pay the rent, things of that nature. Now, all these chakras, they get spoiled because of our emotional reactions. Difficulties we all have. Some people take difficulties as blessings and smile at them. Some people, they can't even stand when with a little bit of difficulty. They feel miserable. So it differs from person to person and differs because of the clarity of understanding, thinking, and also how clear are the chakras. If the chakras are very clear in the first place, then your reaction will be different from a person whose chakras have become gross and complicated. Okay. Physically, we can locate them also. It's like longitude and latitudes on Earth. Are they painted on Earth? They are not. But they are arbitrarily located and we see it on our compass. Similarly, we can compass location of each chakra. Okay. When you are in a state of strong likes or dislikes, there is one particular chakra that gets affected. Let's for a moment we call that particular chakra as point C. Okay. And when you classify your likes and dislikes, there are only two kinds. Worldly, meaning related to worldly problems, materialistic problems, like I was mentioning where from money will come, who will support me, things like that. That affects one particular point. We call it point A. Then another point where you have immense or sensual desires. Yes, appetite is not full, and you constantly brood over these sensual tendencies. Those sort of thoughts and emotions also settle on point. Let's call that point B. Okay. And when we are supposed to do something and we don't do, suppose I am supposed to say sorry to my mother and she is no more. Whom are you going to say sorry now? So what happens to you then? You feel guilty. It's too late. Things I should have done and I can't do or I could not do in time at the right place. That creates a lot of guilt in us. Guilt is by choice. It's
Interesting.
we create guilt because heart says don't do it and yet we do it, or heart says do it and we don't do it. When we miss out on such things, it creates guilt. This point D is also located in the same vicinity around the heart. It can never be cleaned, not even by God,
Really?
because it's you who created by choice.
So, is this related to karma and rebirth, or is it related to your happiness in this life? What are the consequences?
Well, happiness is also a consequence of your actions, thoughts, intentions. Likewise, your miseries. And many things are not only depending on your own karmas, many things happen because of someone else also. Do you think Lord Rama had his own samskars? He was an avatar Purusha. He didn't have any previous karmas to start with,
That's right.
right? Mother Sita, the same story. Now, when we reflect on his life, since he was not culpable for his karma phalas, who enforced those karmas on him to undergo that bhoga of 14 years of sentence? Right? It was Mother Kaikeyi. So, somebody else can change your destiny as well.
That's a good example.
And there are many things that's happening in modern world also. Right? I often come across, especially girls, they say, Daji, I'm in love with such and such a person, but he belongs to different caste and my mother is on hunger strike.
Okay.
So what to do?
Yeah.
So when someone is in love, why prevent such holy marriages? It is not that the arranged marriages will be holier. It is what we make out of this marriage. I often believe that when two individuals come together, both are imperfect. there is bound to be some noise. Put up with it. There are no angels in this world. So we were talking anyway of this aspect of chakras. They can be measured, suppose where the rib cage is there, right? Where last two ribs meet here. Okay. You go back this way on the left side by two fingers. And the point that you see is point B. Okay. And from there you draw a straight line, and that will hit the last rib, and that is point C. Okay. Go up further by few fingers, like I think, if I'm not mistaken, two fingers up, it's point A. Okay. Right? And when you go straight line from C, draw a straight line exactly below the nipple, straight line crossing on the last rib. That's point D, where the guilt feelings are there. And between the point D and the nipple, exactly in the middle, is the heart chakra. So we can, through experience, you can feel the vibrations. Let's see, if I'm working on a person meditating with me, I'm working on, let us see, to remove the tendencies, extraordinary sensual tendencies. I'm working on how to get rid of it. That person will feel vibrations there if he's sensitive enough. The person is undergoing some financial tough times, and I'm cleaning those points related to point A, will also feel the vibrations there. Okay. When we work on the next chakra, that comes after the heart chakra, okay, is called Atma chakra. Okay. It's exactly the mirror image. If I had to put a mirror here, the first chakra, that is heart, will be reflected on this side. That is point number 2, Atma chakra. The difference there, both have upper and lower regions. Rather, all chakras have upper and lower regions. And as we enter each chakra, there is a movement also at all odd chakras versus all even chakras, even numbers like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That's okay. And chakras 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. Okay. They will have the movements going clockwise. At all odd, it will be clockwise movement of vibrations. And people who meditate for a long time, I think they do understand how energy is moving inward. At all even chakras, it will be anti-clockwise. So we have designated on each chakra how you enter and how you exit. It will be all clock or anti-clockwise movement. Also, you may have noticed different colors of floras there.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Right? So first chakra is all yellow background. The next one, right, it's red. Third chakra is all white. Fourth is black. Fifth is green in color. And how it slowly changes. It's not that it's all white or it's all green, but slowly changes. And first chakra, let us say the heart chakra, is all about Panchabhutas. All first five chakras are all related to Panchabhutas rather. But one element will always dominate. Heart is the dominance of earth element, Prithvi. The second, Atma chakra, is dominated with space. Likewise, the third one with the fire. Fourth is all about water. Fifth is air. Now, each chakra has its own dvandva, opposites. There is a polarity. For example, where there is contentment, there is restlessness also, disturbance as well. Remember 5 C's. See here, see there, see here, and see there. Contentment and disturbance. Here, calmness at the Atma Chakra. Here will be compassion out of love, and its opposite. Here on fourth, it's all about courage, and its opposite will be also be there. Again, here will be total clarity. So all five C's are there. Likewise, there is 5 Ds we have tried to for easy remembering.
Sure.
Okay. So these qualities are in balance. Right? Suppose if someone says, I'm so fearful and I have fear of exam, for example, and you go to one of the trainers of Heartfulness and say, I'm so afraid of my exams 3 months ahead of time and I can't sleep. And preceptors, out of compassion, say, okay, let me clean his fear out. But it will not work. Nature will stop the complete cleaning of the fear. It will be against the interest of nature. You may ask me why.
Why? Yes.
If you ask me to clear your fear, will you study?
Right. Probably not.
And if you are the prime minister and you become so fearless, what becomes of you as a politician? Or if you are a thief and you have so much of courage, invincible, you become a perfect thief, then see.
So you need some balance.
Some balance is, and nature filters that. Nature will not permit you to clean over and above just to maintain that level of balance in the system.
Why are humans so restless? Why are we always looking for contentment or answers or validity in our existence? I mean, some people are caught up in everyday problems, but a lot of people are depressed or lonely or anxious. Um, they're just lost. Is this a function of the times that we live in, or is it something that people have dealt with through the years?
Well, it's not one cause, there are multiple causes. You heard of this term, universal consciousness or cosmic consciousness, where there is overhauling of consciousness at a global scale.
Yes.
If it is possible at a higher level, it is also possible to be influenced by the lower level of consciousness throughout the globe, and we are passing through those dark clouds of consciousness affecting many people. And we are somehow reinforcing through our habits each other's negatives.
Right.
That is called peer pressure.
Right.
Can we change this? Yes. When a critical mass of individuals who have somehow gone a long way in improving their consciousness, when certain egregore is reached, by egregore I mean a certain critical mass is reached, that will create a kind of atmosphere and that will trigger the mutation.
Okay.
There is to support my argument here, there is a beautiful science emerging now, and we talked about it in Delhi, in Gurgaon. We talked about epigenetics, how environment affects genetic manifestation or genetic mutation. In good environment, when a child is grooming, embryo is growing, in good environment, the frontal cortex will be well developed against restless mother, stressed mother, anxious mother. The brain, the hind part of the brain, we call amphibian brain, will be well developed against this the frontal cortex. Limbs will be longer, digestive system will suffer in mothers who are stressed. But the stress will also be shared by the child that is growing within. So these are the influences of environment, stressful environment on the fetal growth. Likewise, when we change consciousness, for example, when you visit a hospital, how do you feel?
I mean, when you're sick or when you just happen to be there?
Anyone, you either you are sick or you visiting your mother or father or your relatives, you feel sad,
Yeah, there's always an association.
melancholy there, right?
Yeah.
A certain sense of uncertainty is there, fear, depending upon. But the atmosphere there is quite depressing.
Yes, absolutely.
When you visit Smashan Bhumi, crematorium, the atmosphere there is quite unique. When you go to a kindergarten, there is a different atmosphere. When you go to a birthday party, there is a different atmosphere. So, when you go to a temple or when you do visit places like this, Kanha, Santivanam, see, each place has its own field, vibratory field, that is created by the people who thrive there. And this field affects our consciousness. And if this field remains with us for a long time, or I remain immersed, or I may go away, but I am able to retain that field wherever I go, then that impact will be carried forward. Individually, I will be transformed at a vibratory level. My field will be different from others. It's like if you have to measure the field, for example, vibratory energy field of a rapist versus Romeo and Juliet. It will be different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Energy field of a innocent bhakta, innocent devotee of God. And you measure the energy field of a greedy pandit.
Yeah.
How much is he gonna throw in, right, in donation box? He'll be watching how much he's being throwing, see. And based on how much, their attention also changes toward the person. They give you more attention.
True. I've seen that. Yeah.
Nature also. Nature is not blind. Nature reciprocates, resonates. But depending upon your inner nature, inner quality, nature opens the path or closes the path. Heart is more loving and more harmonious. You will have plenty of gifts descending from heavens. Even God cannot resist entering your heart when the heart is so pure. No one can push God to visit, or no one can force God to visit. It's all a matter of rather the affairs of your heart. How pure, clear, clean, innocent your heart is. That is also the impact of your own energy field, that which we have created. And this energy field is also so powerful in inviting not only God but other individual souls at the moment of conception.
Right.
And when we're talking of these chakras, how does the soul enter the body? Does the soul enter at the very moment of conception, or does it wait? It takes roughly about 3 months before it enters the body of the cells which are multiplying at a frantic rate. It watches by remaining near mother's womb, remains external, creates the circumstances so that fetus can multiply and grow. And around the third month, when this Brahmarandra chakra is well formed, it enters to that chakra and descends into the heart. So that path is very clear. It's a fantastic thing. I mean, if mothers to be can also notice this, they will be able to see the change. Around third month, something magical happens inside, and she starts even glowing more and more than after. Because it's not only one soul inside; there are many souls, two, sometimes three.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
So, I think that you're very modest when you talk about all that you do. If we take a look around Ghana and the kind of work that's being done and what's being created, it's really magical. And I'd love to sort of, I know yesterday you said it just happened, when I tried to ask you, but it is different. It is different than, um, any other such place that I have been to. In terms of the kind of impact you see this having, not just on consciousness, because you've described that, but it goes much further in terms of education, reaching people, the vision, creating employment, gathering people from various walks of life all around the world. It's an amalgamation of everything. What's your vision for this? It's already taking place, it's already unfolding. But just talk to us a little bit more about it, because I'm sure you're going to have many more people come and visit over the next few years or in the future.
Well, my master's dream is very simple: to impart Brahma Vidya to one and all, free of cost, and to create circumstances so that each family can learn this aspect of Brahma Vidya and attain the perfection as possible, as much as possible. He do's and don'ts. His do's and don'ts. He said, don't give up your family. Live in this world. Perfect your actions. When you are meditating, and when your meditative mind is so sublime, peaceful, calm, allow it to touch your actions, your thoughts. Let your thoughts and actions also have the touch of your meditativeness. Otherwise, there is no point meditating. Let the inner be reflected in your outer action. Let it be expressed. Let spirituality be expressed in your tongue, in your hands, in your behavior. Also, he would say strike a balance. Don't be so extrovert and become so materialistic. It's okay. If you want to earn 10 crores, go ahead and earn 10 crores. If you have the ability to make 1,000 crores, go ahead and make 1,000 crores. But don't neglect your spiritual life. And don't go into spirituality also so much and run away into Himalayas. And that is the problem with our Indian civilization. See, often we have been told to renunciate this world. It's only fools can do that. Most people think of renunciating when they have problems in life. They're chickens. Very rarely you will find people like Vivekananda who, out of their qualities of sanskars, they don't need to go through all this. But they are very rare and they don't become common. They are exception. Exceptions don't become the rule, see. People go into forest and what do they contribute? Nothing whatsoever. Their failure at a spiritual level, their failure at a material level too. At least if we had the sense like the Western people to perfect our outer world, make beautiful roads, have extraordinary technologies, have a sense of fulfillment in your work, be proud of your work. But as Indians, we are not proud of our work. We want to shortcut our work, and we want to increase our profits more and more by cutting the qualities. And you want to worship God with such a heart. How is your God going to be happy with you? And then on top of that, we have, pujaris. When you don't have time, what do? You tell pujari, do puja on my behalf. Like my father, for many years, every Shravan Masam, he would request one Pandit who used to come from Rajasthan. He would stay whole month in my house. And of course, the best thing for us was that he used to cook good food. But he used to make some lakhs of shivlingas from mud, and he used to prepare all this in a Shiva temple and and do some Mrutyunjaya japam and all that, so that my father's age would be enhanced. So I used to ask my father, how is it possible someone is doing puja on your behalf in proxy?
And it's working.
How is it going to work? It's not going to work. Only now some crazy examples comes to me. I'm sorry I have to share such crazy examples for the audience to suppose after marriage, husband says, honey, let's go for honeymoon, but I cannot come. I'll send the best friend of mine to have honeymoon with you.
It's a good example.
Right? So that's what people are doing.
Mm.
Something that you enjoy, love God, and you are doing it in proxy. It is worse than sending your best friend with your wife on honeymoon. It is worse actually. And people, they take pride in it. Oh, I had 7 pandits in my house doing homam on my behalf. And that is where we have really absolutely gone berserk with our religion. How can you fulfill even donkeys' peace, let alone God's or nature's or your very own? You feel peaceful because you have done such a thing. It's a false pride, false perception of peace. But deep down, do you really feel peace? It won't be there. It's too shallow, not even shallow scratch.
When people are, constantly, when you're talking about peace, and like you said, it's shallow for the most part. But what is it that what that everyone's searching for? Is it kind of it's purpose? It's purpose. So do they find their purpose when they perhaps take this path? Does it set them on the right direction? I mean, or can you find your purpose in other ways?
Well, you can find the right direction. How would you know you're on the right direction? Right? Also, it is difficult to know the purpose in the beginning, but we can understand things ahead of time a lot better.
Okay.
Right? For example, the understanding that God is everywhere. You believe that?
Yes.
Okay. If He's everywhere, He's in you too. Is your God who is giving you life, is He outside you?
No.
Okay. How do you know that He's inside you?
It's a sense or a belief.
So it's not only a belief, it's an experience, but we are not able to say it so boldly with confidence. Just now I gave you the example that third month after the conception, soul enters the body. And as long as the soul is within the body, it keeps on charging us. It keeps on giving us life. From the moment baby is released, delivered, baby begins to cry. It's cry is a symbol, it's a sign that life force has come. Whether we call that Atman or Jivam or soul, it hardly matters what we call. But some life force that has come will stay with the baby for as long as it can. And that's what we call a lifespan.
Okay.
During this lifespan, let us say tonight it says, Aabha, I'm going. So tomorrow morning we have to send your body to your husband. Here is your Aabha. But there is no life in Aabha. My soul, your soul, is not somewhere, it's within. And imagine where we are searching. We are always searching for that deity, that Antaryamin outside, one who dwells within, and we are trying to find that entity outside us. How can you succeed with the wrong path, with the wrong direction? So, understanding that in which direction I should be searching is very important.
My next question was, why are some people seemingly special or chosen? Is it because they're more evolved souls or because they're born with in certain circumstances, or sometimes there are people who are smarter, more talented, so have they been blessed? Is it their karma?
Both, or many things. Karmas are one thing. If you had not studied what you studied, would you have become what you are today?
No,
No,
probably not.
right? So, your past, your actions, your thoughts, your parents' plans also play a role, right? And what I do now will create my future. So, I had to become wiser and say, okay, let me start doing something better now. At least pick the right direction. Don't choose the wrong direction. At least, okay. Now, how do you know that the path you have selected, or the guru you have selected, or the practice you have selected is right for you or not?
That's a really good question.
Now, what is the interest of the soul for its embodiment? It has a purpose. Purpose is to get rid of all the complexities and impurities that it has collected over the past many lives. Be free from it. Become so pure, completely pure, and regain that original divine stature. And if possible, multiply that potency also and return back home. You are from Investments magazine, right? If I send my son and say, okay, I'll give you $10 million. And after 10 years, he comes back to me and, Papa, here are your $10 million. I would cry like hell. What have you done? You didn't multiply it. Even if he comes back with 10 million plus another 2 million extra, he says, I put it in a bank. Foolish fellow, what sort of investment you chose? Well, it's better than before that he locked it in. Best would have been if he had invested and multiplied it to manifold. God is much better than us. He sent us with certain potency, let's say X potency of the soul. And if you go back with the same potency, he's also going to cry like hell and say, what, my son, what have you done? Or my daughter, what have you done? Come back with 100x, 1000x. And that is the purpose. Now, when we are doing things or when we have a right person who is guiding us, soul will feel the sense of fulfillment that I am being taken in a right direction. Yesterday we talked about that anytime you do a wrong thing, or anytime you think wrong, anytime you have wrong intentions, or even driving and you say, someone is driving but it's a wrong direction, you feel in your heart something is wrong, right? Likewise, even a rickshaw driver is going to take you on a round, for example, for a bit more charges. You know it already, say. When the path is wrong, your heart knows it very well.
So then, can you ascend if you made mistakes before you chose the path to better yourself?
Well, soul in its wisdom, when it understands that the path is right, it will shower you with immense peace. Otherwise, it becomes very disturbed, more disturbed than any wrong thoughts that you may like to commit to into action. Right? For example, if you happen to choose a wrong guru, it will remain disturbed. If you have a right guru, right practice, it will shower so much of grace. You will have no contradictions. You will feel at home. You will feel immense peace in your heart, unparalleled peace. That is a proof that you are on the right track.
So you have a lot of people coming for the spirituality summit uh, soon from around the world, and the Prime Minister himself. Is there something special that you're planning or that you're looking to kind of talk to them about during this?
Well, more than a talk, I'd like to make the world experience our ancient yogic system, that how it can revolutionize our approach in spirituality. That is one goal. Second thing is we can have different approaches, but our understanding should be such that we don't create ripples in the world, instead create harmony, peace. Many religious people, many spiritual samstas will be joining hands on the day, 12th of January, which is our tentative date. It happens to be also Swami Vivekananda's birthday. And if you remember, in 1893 or 94, on 11th September, Swamiji gave a talk in Chicago to World Religious Conference to commemorate, I think, all those moments also. 150 years, I suppose. Is it 150 years? No, 130 years of celebration. So we'll be celebrating that day also here. Swamiji's, where he addressed the World Conference. So coinciding with that, we are planning to celebrate life of Swami Vivekananda. He was a giant, spiritual giant, and we must create many such Vivekanandas in our society. And I feel it's possible. It is.
You have faith in the youth.
Yes.
Your own journey, Daji. What's a day in your life like? How's your routine? What's your
Well, when
meditation?
I started my practice under Sahaj Marg system, started all in 1976, month of August. As a student myself, I think we just took it like a joke in the beginning, just fun, just to play, to meditate. It was so much of fun also. All my friends, will gang up together and meditate.
Okay.
Right? We go to restaurant, talk on meditation, talk on yoga, and enjoy food, etc. Go for movies and the usual stuff. Then in the evening, after our college is over, we will have a competition that who can complete his meditation, special meditation of cleaning in the evening, and such sort of things would go on happening. Then we would walk to our preceptor's home because students didn't have enough money to even hire a rickshaw. Right? And we were almost 20 of us. How many rickshaws you can know? And it's better to walk. So we used to walk to our preceptor's home. And preceptor's wife used to get into a stressful mode because in the evening we go at someone's house. In those days we didn't have phones. You can imagine housewife's tension. ये खाना खाएंगे कि कॉफी बनाएंगे? So we go there and declare, कुछ खाना भी नहीं है, पीना भी नहीं है. We are here for a sitting. So she's at peace then. See. So many sittings we would have with the preceptor. We would have at least 2 to 3 group meditations with our preceptors and attend many functions where there are thousands of people would come. That is also a different experience. Individual session where you meditate home is different. When you meditate with preceptors, it's different. When you meditate in a group, it's different. And when you come to places like this, it's also has a different charm to meditation. As a student, that was our daily saga, our weekly saga. After marriage, when I went back, went to United States, I think my practice became very refined and more regular in US because the life was very predictable, very structured life. So everything was very planned. 6 o'clock or 5:30, you get up, meditate, breakfast, go to a pharmacy, come back home, do your evening cleaning meditation. So this was it was a routine, yeah, very well established routine, yeah.
What's the most challenging part of your journey? And when I say journey, I know it's spans a long time. So anything you want to pick out, whether it be in developing Kanha or whether it be perhaps in your own practice, share with us a challenge that came towards you and how you overcame it. I know that you'll say you were guided, but I'd love to hear the experience and how the meditation and the practice helped you to perhaps overcome certain things.
Choosing things before happens, like when I had to start first pharmacy, choosing location was a challenge. But then you get guided. How to, what to stock, everything gets guided. But then I would not say stress. I don't think I ever felt stressed in my life, except 2, 3 situations where family life of my children, especially, was in turmoil, and both of them at the edge of divorce.
Oh.
One got divorced. He filed for divorce, and second one was in trouble also because of misunderstanding. But now they are fine. So family situation has rattled me a lot. But now seeing them both happy and growing happily with grandchildren around, now I have no anxiety, no worries, no tension because now I understand things better that you do your best, leave the rest to Allah Mia.
That's, it's good insight because sometimes people are not able to relate to the fact that, their spiritual guide could also have gone through some very real, issues. What are some of so many people ask you so many questions always. What is the one question you always get and you like to answer, or the one question you get which you really find annoying to answer?
Well, number one question on the list is, sir, how to handle thoughts during meditation? That's one. Wives generally have one problem. My husband is not regular in meditation. My husband has a short temper. And now youngsters, whom to marry, when to marry, things like that.
So, meditation is a little different, perhaps, than other practices that try and teach you or try and encourage you to detach. Would you say it's a little different?
No, I would not say. To me, it's not detachment. I would say there is an increased loving attachment to all.
But without expectation.
That is, where love is there, I don't think you begin to expect anything at all. Increased loving attachment rather than detachment. Instead of having love only towards your own, you begin to love so many. And in fact, the idea of loving many also disappears at some point.
Disappears.
Yeah. It's like the other day we were talking about meditation is an art of transcending the mind, where we transcend the function of the mind of thinking into feelings, right? Experiencing. And we concluded that experiencing is also not enough. I have to become, for example, having experiences of divinity versus becoming divine is more important, right? And then we move on further to attaining bliss, right? You become, instead of loving, you become love yourself. So, so then the verbs that I love so and so will drop. Your nature is love. Love is no longer a verb in such a person's life. His existence becomes love itself.
I know of a lot of people who will, of course, talk about how much the practice has helped them or guided them. But around you, have you also seen how perhaps people have experienced this change, in entirety?
Oh, there are many. They're better than me actually.
Really?
Yeah, and I envy them. They are quiet soldiers in their own rights.
So what's really nice is that it's something that just unites. It doesn't really matter where you come from or what your background is, and it just brings souls together as one to kind of find a path.
I guarantee one and all, if you practice this just for 3 months the way it is prescribed, without flinching from its practice, the way it is prescribed, the attitude with which you have to practice, just give me 3 months and see what you can come out as. Just 3 months. Total transformation.
Okay. And it doesn't. I know it might sound like a silly question, but there's a sense that sometimes if to choose something, you have to let go of something. And I know it's not you're not saying let go of material things or life or your business, etc. But your friends or people around you may not understand, or they may not understand the change in you.
Why worry with it? Are you happy with your change? How does it matter? See, because what is happening here is very special. Your identification, when we identify ourselves as doctors or professors is one thing. Identifying myself, I am so and so, or someone identifying I am the most beautiful lady in this whole world. And maybe she is, who knows. But that identification is so intense with the body or with the profession. Sometimes the identification is so strong that I know president, I know prime ministers. Your identification with so and so,
True.
right? If you worry too much about friends, identifying yourself, your relation with your friends, okay, but you are not that. You are not that community, you are not prime minister, you are not president, you are not even your friend, you are not even yourself as a body. Even your thought is not yours. It is there for now. Tomorrow you'll have a different thought, absolutely opposing the previous thought that you had yesterday. But you remain same. Same. You are witnessing the changing clouds that in the atmosphere of your mind. Your intellect keeps changing. Your ego also keeps changing sometimes. It's all about Aabha. And then we, the family. And then as we advance further, you identify yourself with Thou, God. So we move, we evolve from I to we to Thou. So identification keeps changing. So when we have limited identification, even with ourselves, with my yesterday's thoughts, I'm limiting myself. I'm conditioned to think, and this conditioning of thinking in a particular way is harmful to my existence. And if I associate myself and absolutely depend on my friends' views, it is suicidal. You should know who your friends are. Mitra is one who can pull you out of bad association.
So, if I now have many more questions now. So, if you have, I wanted to talk about children because sometimes, I mean, I don't have children, but from what I see around me, many times, people may not get back from their children what they expect, or the children may not follow the path that they encourage them to follow. There's disappointment, there's um, anger, there's so many feelings. Um, because if you choose yourself over you choose something that's whatever you're doing with your time, let's just say you're choosing to kind of do something for yourself, and you're having issues with your children, either not following it or wanting to do something different, for instance, or not being able to find that peace because you're not being able to communicate with your child. How does one marry that struggle?
It's a tough struggle.
It is a tough struggle.
I read somewhere, children teaches you one thing. Why did you have sex?
Right.
It's too late then, see. Nevertheless, out of love we procreate. Right? And when out of love, in a reverential way, we invite the new soul, not by accident, but by choice. And when at the moment of conception you are in a reverential mode, you will definitely attract right soul. You won't have no regrets later in life. That's the first step.
Wow.
Like if I wear my shirt in the morning, if my first shirt button is like this, what will happen?
Exactly. And all the rest.
So, if my first hour in the morning I goof up, the whole day will be spoiled. Incoming souls welcoming by the parents who are making love, if it is like mating like animals, you are attracting souls matching that animalistic tendencies. They won't listen to you.
Interesting.
The attitude at the moment of conception changes everything. Let me explain with a story. There is a beautiful story in Mahabharata. You know, there was a king, Vichitravirya. He could not conceive. He was impotent. There were no cement banks those days, right? So they invited a live person, his cousin brother or real brother named Vyasa. Mother arranged it, call your brother at a right muhurtam. So he was summoned to make love with two queens. Vichitravirya had two wives. So as soon as he enters the first queen's chamber, because he was ordered, so he came from the forest, all improperly dressed, no perfume, nothing, sweaty, and rishi means lot of long hairs. And see, most refined queen you are going to mate with. She looks at him and she gets into a shock. Not with this guy. Nevertheless, she obliged the king. Then he goes to the second queen's chamber at another muhurtam, and looking at his attire, her blood circulation stops in a shock with this guy. So she becomes pale. Her blood circulation stops. She becomes pale. Now what happens here? These two queens were very smart. So what if we fail? We may have to undergo the same exercise again. So let's request our maid, Dasi. Right? And she felt so proud that, oh, Aabha, I'm so fortunate that I have had the opportunity of, obliging not only the king, but now mating with sage Vyasa, the holiest of all. She felt proud. And the children born to these people. First queen who closed her eyes, her son was blind, Dhritarashtra. Right? The second queen, her blood circulation stopped. He was leucodermic, his skin was pale, and his name was Pandu. Dasiputra, one who felt very proud, mother, and the child that was born was the wisest of all. So your attitude at the moment of conception changes everything.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with your astrology chart. It may have some influence, but maybe 2%. 98% is the attitude of parents at the moment of conception. And same thing happens when you die. Depending on how your attitude at the moment of death, how pure you feel inside. Can you fabricate your purity at that moment? Either at the moment of conception or at the moment of death. You cannot fabricate it. You have to be authentic about your purity and reverential approach. So, depending on the vibratory field of the soul, it will reach out to that dimension, matching dimension in the hereafter. There is nobody coming to pick you up. It just goes there. It's like lock and key, just fits in exactly. The vibratory pattern created by parents at the moment of conception, it's some field is created. Soul that matches that vibration will be attracted towards it and just fits in.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Is it true, the concept of soulmates? There's something like that.
I do agree, yes. Soulmate doesn't mean that you'll marry that soulmate.
But you attract people
To
or
you, it means
souls.
everything, that person. Yeah.
What, as we wind down today, Raji, leave us with some thoughts on how to. I mean, we've talked about heartfulness, of course, but you also talk about intellect and intelligence a lot. Just how can one work on that? Is it more about reading? Is it about meditating and evolving and asking questions? How does one work on that?
Okay. All these things. The source of all intelligence is your soul. Imagine for a moment, source of light. There's a candle. If the candle has a glass around it, yellow glass, light emerging out will be yellow. But the original source is light itself, no colors. Now you put the green glass around it, red glass around it. What happens to the light coming out? It will be dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And if there is more dust, you won't see anything coming out of it. Now, removing these veils of ignorance around the soul, is the job of meditation and also the cleaning. Meditation without cleaning is useless, and no yogi will teach you how to do the cleaning except heartfulness way. I give you the example, the importance of meditation and importance of cleaning. Suppose you have 500 HP horsepower engine and you have, let's see, a Porsche sports car, huh? And it is stuck in mud. Can you drive it? You can't. You have a beautiful road like Germany, but engine is useless. Like a rickshaw, how fast can you go in there on that road? Though the road offers you a speed of 200 kilometers an hour, but your engine is not working well. Meditation gives you power, that HP. Cleaning clears the road for you, cleans the path for you. Also, if I give you another example, if you keep watering the soil, your fruiting trees, but if there are weeds, what happens? Weeds will drain the energy of the fruiting tree. These veils of ignorance, the desires, the ego, that creates the problem, and that becomes the bar in expressing my mind. It prevents me from right thinking, correct thinking. It also spoils my understanding.
Right.
Spoiling understanding means you're losing your intelligence. But when you close your eyes and meditate, what happens? In that serenity, in that utter depth of your calmness, you are able to access superconsciousness. And from there, all the information descends as needed. As needed. Likewise, when we do the cleaning in the evening, the accumulated conditioning about certain people, situation gets washed out. So I remain clearer and clearer about my ideas, my thoughts, by understanding other people. I become sharper and sharper from inside. And this happens not because of education, it happens because of yogic practice. It has nothing to do with degrees.
Being receptive to understanding more. Okay. On that note, Daaji, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'd love to tell your viewers who are especially watching from around the country or around the world to come and visit Ghana. And in time, many of the other beautiful campuses that you're looking to create and enjoy this experience for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Aabha. So it's very simple, I think. It's very simple.